Good morning, Primary 6. Good to see everyone. Just having a look in the comments, seeing lots of us already live. Supposedly we have 16 viewers already, which is good. I'm sure that will increase over the next while. But who am I seeing? I'm seeing Karina, Sky, Audrey, Hamish, Sam, Zach. Good to see you all, guys. Callie, you're there. Alyssa. Really good to see everyone, guys. Eva, Freya, Isa. Really, really good that you're all here, guys. Excellent. Hope we're all well this morning. It looks like it is shaped up to be another glorious day. Yesterday was absolutely fantastic. I've decided not to be outside because it was just a little bit too hectic with my kids running around me yesterday. So I've locked myself in away from all of the craziness, and leaving my wife to kind of fend for herself there. So I'm sorry to her about that. But it's tricky because she's got a job to do as well. We're kind of having to we're kind of having to support each other in different ways, and it's all a bit of a faff at times, but we're managing, But yeah, make sure if it is sunny, you try and get out and enjoy the sunshine as much as possible. Do some work, that's important. But yeah, get out and enjoy the sunshine. Now, I've just noticed a message coming in from Miss Lindsay. We've been chatting about a proposition that we're toying with. I'm maybe not going to announce it online. Yeah, that's fine. There is something upcoming, guys, that I think you will you will enjoy, and we're going to talk about that probably on Monday. Is what we've just agreed this second. Sorry, I'm just looking over the chat with Miss Lindsay at the same time. So we got other stuff coming up that will hopefully brighten your days ever so slightly. Just looking at some of the news that we've got, Audrey, I think that's you. You were saying that you've got newts in your pond. That is pretty cool. You know what? A channel that I temporarily fell in love with over this quarantine period is a guy on YouTube called Cosmic Shrimp. Not Cosmic Shrimp, Atomic Shrimp. I'm pretty sure it was that. I'm gonna double check. I'm typing it in the comments. He does various things, the kind of stuff that I'm into. He's into foraging. He's into wild plants and finding out stuff that you can eat. He is. He makes nettle soup and that sort of stuff, which is quite tasty, by the way. But one of the things that's really good, one of the things that I really loved watching from him was he basically got a pond in a jar, and just filmed it for the first 3 weeks of quarantine. He had to tip it all out in the end because something happened in the jar that I think was quite interesting. But if you fancy a wee venture into nature via YouTube, then have a wee look at Atomic Shrimp's. Oh, big glitch in the background there. Have a wee look at Atomic Shrimp's channel. I'm gonna have to keep my hands to myself because anytime I bring my hands up, it seems that it goes glitchy. But have a look at his channel, and yeah, there's some quite interesting stuff on it, particularly about pond life. Anyway. Plan for today, we're going to talk a little bit about Class Notebook, because there's definitely some stuff that we need to be doing on that. Now, I know of 3 people in my class that it looks like they've really tried to use Class Notebook at some point at least, but in my class it looks like the vast majority of us still aren't. So a big congratulations to Freddie, who has not only used it but actually managed to upload work on it. Well done to you, pal. Actually, Hamish as well, well done to you. You managed to upload work on it as well. So really well done with that, pal. And Karina, I saw that you'd been on it. You hadn't managed to upload work, but you did manage to get on and do a wee sort of something on there. So today we're going to look at how to actually use Class Notebook properly. Yes, I'm aware that my tie is glitching. It shouldn't do that, but it is for some reason. It's obviously a little bit too similar in color to the background color for some reason. Anyway, let's have a little bit of a look now. Not Rosalind, sorry. It's Audrey. I know you're having trouble switching accounts. There are things that you can do. What you kind of have to do is forget the previous account completely, which is really annoying. So if you have a sibling, if you have a brother or sister who is also signed in to something on 365, sometimes it's really annoying with Edinburgh Council, but sometimes it completely locks on to that one account and won't let you sign out of it. So a couple of things you can do. One is make sure that you click the forget button so that it forgets the account completely. Or failing that, what you might actually have to do is on your browser, so if you're using Google Chrome or Firefox or something, you have to go to settings, and I'm just kind of looking where it is just now. And somewhere in settings, which should be usually towards the top right of your screen, what you have to do is basically there's an option where you can forget everything, like all the cookies, all your previous browsing history. If you clear all of the data from your browser, then you should be able to get onto your account, Audrey. The only problem is you'll need to do that every time you're wanting to switch between your accounts. So look, I get it if you can't upload to Class Notebook. Don't worry about that too much if it's just too difficult. But for a lot of us, we should be able to do it. So let's have a look at how to do it. Sky, I'm noticing you're saying that you can't get onto it. We'll talk about that in a bit, but I'm going to talk you through the method just now, hopefully. So I'm just going to switch screens quickly. Let's go to our Active Inspire document. Oh, I'm far too big on the screen there. Let's float about and get smaller. Here we go. Right. So, I'm far too forward on the pages. Let's go back a whole load. Oh, a couple of things that I need to talk about first. First of all, tagging teachers, particularly me. If you have something that you need me to address, now I'm not on Teams every minute of every day. I'm sorry about that. I'd love to be. Frankly, I'd love to be back in school. That would be so much easier for me just to be back in school with you guys. But I'm not, and because I'm a parent, I'm looking after 2 kids, and I'm trying to support my wife who's trying to work as well, and we're all a bit all over the place. I'm not available constantly. But if you have something that needs attention from me, make sure that you're typing the @ symbol before my name in a comment. So if you type @MaxGreen, then I get a bit more of an alert coming up, and I'm more likely to see it in a timely fashion because I'm not constantly browsing Teams. But I do get alerts on my phone to say if you guys have tagged me in something. So that is a handy thing for you all to be doing. Okay? Now, Class Notebook. This is where you should be posting your work. So I've if you go onto our Davy or Davidson's Mains P6B chat, or obviously you guys have a P6A and P6C as well, and you're in the general section here, then you should have up at the top a whole load of different tabs. So you've got posts, which is where the chat feed is. I've just realized that I have left a name in there, which I shouldn't have. That is naughty of me. I'll probably have to delete this video now. But you should be able to see that at the top there is the Class Notebook section here. That's what you click on first. And that'll take you to a page that will look a little bit like this. So you've got a welcome section, a collaboration space. Anyone can post in the collaboration space and everyone can see it. So if you want to post stuff in the collaboration space, that's fine. But then there should be, now I've got all of your names here. So I can see all of your names in this red section, which is why I've blocked out so much. But you should have a little section of your own, which is your name, and only you can see that. Okay, well, you and me can see that. If you click on your name, you should be presented with 3 other areas. You've got literacy, you've got maths, and you've got other curricular areas. And what I want you to start doing is uploading your work into that. So you can just, if you've taken a picture of your work, you should just be able to drag it in to the particular area. Okay? Now we're going to look at someone who's done this particularly well. So I'm not going to say who this is, but I did say the couple of people that had succeeded in uploading work. But this person has done it exactly right, exactly what I would have wanted them to do. So this is a piece of literacy work that they've done. He's gone to the literacy section and he's created a new page. Okay, so he's created a new page and he's called it the date followed by the task, what the task was. So the name that he's given this page is 050520, which was the date that it was done on, and then he's called it Macbeth Task 1. Now, he's only got this one piece of work uploaded here. Well done for doing it though, pal. Really well done. For any extra work he wants to add after that, what you should do is click page again, the plus sign here, where it says plus page, and that will add a new page. And then I want you to call that as the proper date and title for the piece of work that you're doing. So you do that anytime you're uploading work, and you do it in the correct section, either literacy, maths, or other curricular areas. It is quite easy once you get your head around it, guys, okay? It's not super challenging, but you are going to need to put in a bit of time to familiarize yourself with it. I know what it's like. You're comfortable at the moment using the thing that you're doing, just uploading stuff to the chat feed. You've been doing that for a while, you're comfortable with it, and I get it. But in terms of me giving you decent feedback, this is going to work much better, and I really want us to be doing this. But we can't really start it properly until a lot of us are uploading it. Okay, so please, today, any work that you're doing, take a picture of it and then upload it to your class notebook. That would really be helping me out, guys. And I'm hoping by the end of today, I'll see a few of us doing that. How I'll give you feedback, Rosalind, is that I will... well, it might be a couple of different ways, but I'll basically either type a bit of feedback beside it. So what, in fact, oh no, I can't show you because it's not live right now on my screen. But either I will type a comment directly beside the piece of work on that page. Now you should notice if I've typed anything, because it should go bold. If you see that I've added something to it, you'll hopefully see what I mean. Or certainly the color might change. There's a few different things that might indicate that I've done something on it. But I'll either type a wee comment on it, or possibly I might even try and do audio notes. Apparently you can add audio notes to this. Now, I am still new to this as well. There's a lot for me to learn, but I'm hoping that it will actually improve the quality of feedback that I can give you. Okay, that's the idea anyway. Right, guys. Okay, so that is the first thing that we were going to talk about. The second thing that we were going to talk about was, we're not doing that yet, a little bit about space. Now, I've given you a task today, except it's not just a one-day task, it's actually a several-day task. In fact, the longer you can keep it going, the better it'll be. But what you're doing is a little bit of moon tracking, basically. And what you're learning to do is make scientific observations over time. Now, I've already explained this a little bit in the audio file that's attached with the task today, but I'm just going to try and show you using my amazing artwork. I mean, people in my class, how great I am with my art. Especially when I have to do it on a rubbish wee trackpad on my laptop. That's where I really come into my own. So what you should be doing, you're basically going to be at night looking at the moon, ideally when it's dark enough to see a few stars. You do want to be seeing stars where possible. And just a few stars around the moon would be enough. And what I want you to do is try to make accurate, detailed observations of the moon. So, now this is where it's going to get tricky. You're going to have to pay real attention to the shape of the moon. So a lot of us just sort of think, well, the moon's round, isn't it? So I'm just, that's not very round. But pretend that's round, guys, please, for me. I'll tell you what, it'd be easier just to do it using shapes. So a lot of you might just be drawing something like, well, that's red, that's not the moon. Like that. I'm thinking, well, that's the moon, it's round. And it's got, like, something that looks a bit like a face on it. This would not be a scientific observation. Okay, when it comes to looking at the moon, yes, okay, we know that it's also an oblate spheroid, so it's roundish. But different parts of it might be in shadow, different parts of it might be in the light. So you might find that on day one, there's just the tiniest little bit of shadowing on that side. And then you might also notice, is that grey? I'm going to hope that's grey. I don't know, but you might notice that there's sort of light and dark patches on parts of it. And I want you to really be quite accurate with, what, oh, that looks like a very sad face. But I want you to be really accurate with what light and dark patches you draw on it, but also, and this is actually in some ways more important, so you want to be paying attention to the shape, paying attention to what part of it's in shadow, what part of it's in light, but also I want you to pay attention to what stars you can see around it and where they are. So you might even want to get out your ruler and kind of, do a little measure, hold it up to the moon and try and think, right, well, it's that far away, and you try and make really accurate estimates so you can draw on the stars. I'm not even sure if these are star color. To me, that almost looks orange. I think it is orange. Is that one yellow? I should have done. Not the stars are even yellow; they're white, aren't they? But so if I saw stars in that particular arrangement, that's how I would draw them. And I need to be really accurate with that. But what you're going to do is you're going to repeat that over several nights. Okay, it's going to be over several nights. So you're going to come out night 1, you're going to draw the moon accurately, and you're going to draw what stars are around it accurately. Then on the next night, you're going to do it again. And what you should have found, well, and do I want to tell you what you should have found? No, I'm not going to tell you what you should have found. But there might be differences. I am going to say there might be differences. So you might find that the stars are possibly in different positions. You might find that more of the moon or less of the moon is in shadow. You might find that some of the features that were in one place on the moon have maybe moved. I can't really move some of these parts here, but you might find that some of the little features appear to have all moved up slightly or moved down slightly. So make sure you're moving things around day on day so that you're taking detailed, accurate scientific measures. Okay? Now, the thing that you really need to think about is, what does this tell you about the way the moon moves in the sky and why it happens? So that's the bit that you really have to be figuring out. Okay? So why do these things appear to move? Why is it sometimes a full moon, sometimes a half moon, sometimes a crescent moon, that sort of thing? Why do the stars appear to move in relation to the moon? Or is it the moon moving in relation to the stars? These are the things that you guys need to try and figure out. Okay? Yes, I realise that I've drawn a sad-looking moon, guys, but I hope you're still paying attention and focusing. That's all I'm going to say. Right, so that's your task. It is an evening task, so for most of the day, with regard to other curricular areas, you can't do anything. You can only really do it at night if you're wanting to do the full thing. But you definitely can do your literacy task, and you definitely can do your maths task. So make the most out of that. Okay, guys, that was all I'm really going to talk about in terms of in terms of the science activity that you've got to do. I was going to say we were supposed to be doing this with a planet rather than the moon. So Venus is really big and bright in the sky at the moment. If you go out sort of in the early evening, you'll find that there's one star that is shining brighter than all the others, and it's not actually a star. That's our nearest planet, Venus. Is it nearest? Certainly, in one direction it is. I don't know if Mars or Venus is actually closer, but it probably varies depending on the time of the year. But Venus is certainly very, very bright in the sky right now. I imagine it's the closest one to us at the moment. So, what we would have been doing is watching Venus as it moves through the sky compared to the background stars. And I can tell you that the word planet actually comes from the Greek word that means wanderer. So we call planets planets because they appear to wander through the sky, which I think is kind of cool. I think that's kind of fascinating. And I'd set up, I thought, a much better task to do with us tracking the planets instead. But actually, it turns out that right now, just there's a quirk of physics right now that means that Venus for the next few days will appear to be quite still in the sky. It won't appear to be moving. What it's done is it's gone up and up and up in one direction, and now it's stopping and it's going to come back and back and back. But we're on the couple of days where it's kind of just stopping. It's just, sorry, that's gone really really glitchy with the background. But it's just in that part there where it's just not quite ready to come back, so it's going to look like it's staying still. So we couldn't have done it with Venus. Instead, we're doing it with the moon, which will still work. Okay, guys. What we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of the class curiosity tree. These are a few questions that I've lifted from the class curiosity tree. Some I might go into a bit more detail. Some maybe a little bit less detail. But this is what we're doing. So, why do your nails grow? Well, basically, in case they get damaged, it's expected that your nails are going to get damaged. And so they keep growing to replace the damage. So, do we need nails? Yeah, well, nails help us. Nails let us do lots of things as a human. But particularly for other animals, nails are really, really important. Particularly animals that dig and have to use their claws for particular things. But they will get worn down. Nails are just made of protein, a protein called keratin, and it's not that strong. So let's say you're a lion that has to chase down gazelles, and obviously you're going to occasionally tear a claw, or it's going to get worn down when you're ripping into a nice juicy gazelle. And if you were a lion that ended up with blunt claws, or blunt nails if you like, then you're not going to be a very good lion anymore. Therefore, nails have to regrow. And it's just the same with us. So part of it, yes, is to protect our nail bed that's very sensitive, but it's just that nails are useful to have. We use them for lots of things, but if they get broken, they need to regrow. What would the world be like if it had no numbers? A lot more difficult and a lot less sophisticated, and a lot of what we're used to just wouldn't work. So we need numbers for trading, for discussing big ideas, for doing scientific measurements. There's lots of things that we need numbers for. There are some cultures in the world that really don't have many numbers at all. So, okay, you can just... so there's some cultures in the world that don't have many numbers at all. Now, I can't remember what culture it is. I think it's somewhere in the Pacific Islands. But they only had a handful of numbers. They had a number for 1, a number for 2, a number for 3, a number for a few, and a number for a lot. And that is their numbering system. So you could say, how many birds did you manage to shoot today with your bow and arrow? 1. Got 1. I got 2. I got 3. After that, they don't have words in their language to help them be specific. I got a few. Or, I got a lot. But that's kind of it. Now, the problem with this, or where this works for them, is they don't really need lots of numbers in their system. They're living in the middle of the rainforest, in their own little tribe, and they don't need to say any more than 1, 2, 3, a few, a lot. They don't need to say that because they're not trading with anyone. But let's say you have to trade. You want to trade with something. I want to trade, let's say, 7 pigeons for 1 small pig. In our tribe, we hunt pigeons and boar, basically, or wild birds and boar. If you're wanting to trade, do you trade a few for if you say, well, I've got a few of this and a few of that, how do you know it's a fair trade? You can't do that without saying, well, no, we have to actually use the numbers. So, if I think I've started off too complicated saying pigeons and boar. So let's say we're wanting to trade types of bird. I'll give you 3 pigeons for 3 chickens. That's an equal trade. Okay? And if you both know the number 3, that's fine. But what if we just say a few? My a few could be 7. Your a few could be 4. Would that be a fair trade? No. So as soon as we have to trade between different villages, then we really need numbers. So yeah, what would the world be like without numbers? We wouldn't be able to trade very well, and that would be a big problem. Okay, anyway. Are all stars hot? Yes, very, very, very hot compared to us. However, they're not all hot compared to each other. So all stars are basically huge nuclear bombs. Kind of. It's a bit more complicated. Nuclear bombs are to do with atoms falling apart very fast and very violently. Stars kind of do the opposite. They're to do with joining atoms very fast and very violently. But it's still a nuclear reaction. And that is really, really, really hot. But some stars are hotter than others. In fact, the hotter a star is, usually the bluer it looks. So we think of red as being a hot color and blue as being a cold color. But when it comes to stars, it's the opposite. So you've got red stars, and they tend to be a little bit cooler. Ours is a yellow star. That's a little bit hotter than a red star. But then you have blue stars, and they're very, very hot. Which I think is kind of cool. And of course, I mean, we're used to having a star around us that produces this sort of light, and we're used to seeing colors in this way. But let's say you changed the type of star that the sun is, all of a sudden our colors would look very different. If you changed, you're saying it's white. It's not a white star. It is known as a yellow star. I'm gonna fact check myself here. Sun is a yellow star. I'm gonna. Yeah, it's a yellow dwarf. Our sun is called a yellow dwarf. Thank you, Zach, for trying to call me on it, because it's good to always check up. But ours is actually a yellow dwarf. You also get white dwarfs, but our sun isn't a white dwarf. But if you change the type of star that our sun is to maybe a red dwarf, all of our colors would suddenly look different. Or if you change it to a blue hypergiant, all of a sudden our colors would look completely different on Earth. It would also probably kill us, but that's a separate issue. So are all stars hot? Yes. Why is seawater salty? Because most of the seawater comes from rivers that have, or not most of it, but an awful lot of it comes from rivers that have flown over land and over different rocks. And small amounts of salt get picked up in that river water. Now, if you drink river water, it doesn't taste salty because there's only tiny, tiny amounts of of salt in that river water. But remember that the sea has had this salty water flowing into it for a very, 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 very long time. So that means that the salt has built up. So river water does have small amounts of salt in it, but the sea has way, way more salt in it because it's just been happening much longer. Okay, who was the first scientist? Depends what you call a scientist. I would say that now there will be people that did some sort of science before this. I think there's a couple of good candidates for it. Pythagoras was, you could probably argue, was one of the first scientists. He did stuff to do with geometry, stuff to do with shapes, stuff to do with music as well. He investigated music, and he did it using mathematics, which it is a type of science. Maths is a type of science. It's really the fourth science. We've got physics, we've got chemistry, we've got biology, but at the root of all that, we've got maths. So Pythagoras, arguably the first real scientist. But we've also got people like Aristarchus. Aristarchus was a Greek philosopher, and you could argue scientist, who studied cosmology. He studied astronomy, the stars and the planets and the way they moved. So Aristarchus was one of them. But then you've got Eratosthenes, who was a little bit after both of these, so he definitely wasn't the first scientist, but he discovered something fantastic. He discovered that the Earth is round in about 250 BC, 250 years before the Common Era, before we started doing dates and that sort of thing. So a lot of people say, well, it was Christopher Columbus that discovered the Earth was round. No, it wasn't. That was in like the 1500s, 1600s. When I'm not good with my history, as you guys know. But Christopher Columbus, no, he didn't discover the Earth was round. Eratosthenes did over 2,000 years earlier, or around 2,000 years earlier, which I think is pretty awesome. So yeah, we've known that the Earth is round for over 2,000 years, which is kind of cool. Why is it called COVID-19 when it's 2020? It was discovered in 2019, basically. That's the answer. It was discovered by a group of Chinese researchers who knew about it, I think, as early as November. Certainly by December they knew about it. This was an interesting one. I liked the way it was written. How is electricity allergic to water? It isn't. Electricity isn't allergic to water. If you have pure water, completely pure water, it doesn't transfer electricity at all. And some of you might remember we talked about this. Pure water does not allow electricity to flow through it. But most water that you see isn't pure. It has tiny, tiny bits of metal in it. And it's those bits of metal and other things as well, but stuff like sodium, magnesium, just tiny amounts of it, calcium, it allows electricity to flow through it. So because of minerals that are in the water, basically. But is electricity allergic to water? No. If you throw your toaster into some water, it will look like it's allergic to it because there'll be sparks all over the place, but that's just the toaster short-circuiting. But electricity isn't allergic to water, it can just flow through it. And lastly, why is the sun a star and not a planet? Planets, I'm trying to think, no, I'm not going to say what, planets are made of either just rock or gas. The sun, a lot of people say it's burning gas. It's not. It's made of things that are gases, like hydrogen and helium, but it's actually in a state called plasma. So the sun is not a burning ball of gas, but it's a nuclear reacting ball of plasma. So for something to be a star, it needs to be undergoing a constant nuclear reaction. And that's what's happening in the sun. There are some things that are almost there. So there's some planets that are really, really big. So something like 7 or 8 times the size of Jupiter. And we call them brown dwarfs. They're almost big enough and almost heavy enough to start start a nuclear fusion reaction, which is where atoms start smashing together really fast. But in the case of these brown dwarfs, they've just not quite got enough energy to start smashing things together. Stars, though, they are big and strong enough to start smashing things together, and that's what makes it into a star. So the sun, all the light that we're getting off of it, all the heat that we're getting off of it, is because there is an absolutely colossal nuclear reaction going on in it right now, which I think is pretty awesome. Anyway, guys, we're going to stop there just now, because I've been rabbiting on for coming up for 35 minutes. I am going to meet my groups today, the 3 groups that I haven't seen yet, so make it along if you can. So that is Race Against Time group, seeing you guys first at 11:40, if you can make it. Then we've got Dodos Are Forever at 11, and then at 11:20 we have Huntress of the Sea. So we're just going to have probably just a quick meetup, guys. I just want to have a face-to-face check-in with you, see how you're getting on, chat about some stuff. That'll be it. Anyway, guys, signing off just now. Happy birthday to Callie when it comes. I felt far too embarrassed singing happy birthday on YouTube before. I'm not going to start that as a habit. Oh, I don't know. You want me to? Oh, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Callie. Happy birthday to you. Oh, it's so cringe doing that. Anyway, you take care of yourselves, guys. Enjoy the sunshine. It's a little bit cloudier than I would have hoped, but I'm sure it'll come out. And see you all on Monday. No school tomorrow, guys. No school tomorrow. We're not posting anything. So see you Monday. Bye for now.